Hey everybody, and welcome to Virtual Trek Con. This is the coolest panel out of the 6 days if you're an Orville fan. My name is Ryan T. Husk. We are joined by Eric Moran, Malissa Longo, PJ Tomas, also known as Orville Nation-PJ, Peter Carrubba, all the way from Italy, and meteorologist Katie, all the way from Iowa. And this is going to be a fun panel. You guys want to start off by introducing yourselves for us? Okay. We'll start with Eric Moran, please.
I am Eric Moran, pro wrestler, actor, producer. I am also the creator of the very first Orville fan film series, A Planetary Step. And we basically put out the pilot. The pilot episode went over well. And now we created a first season. We're working in production right now. We're looking to film next week. And also practice social distancing. And at the same time, we're going to surprise a lot of people. And we can't wait for you guys to see. We're doing heavy promotion. I currently have a series on right now called A Planetary Diary, the making of a fan series, which shows you the intricacies, ins and outs of how to make a fan film, let alone a fan film series. And you get to meet all the people that helped make this series happen. Plus a couple of different special guests, maybe some from the Orville, and other people that make the Orville what it is today. So that's why I'm here. And let's move on to the next guest.
Okay, I guess that's you, Malissa.
Okay. Hello, I'm Malissa Longo. I am actress, artist, widow of Aaron Eisenberg, and I'm happy to be here. And I enjoy watching the Orville.
Nice. Hey, by the way, we have a special guest that's already popped in super quickly on very short notice, and he's popping in right now.
Hey! Very short notice.
Hey!
I ended my other stream for you guys for the Orville.
Aw.
Well, we demanded nothing less. Would you like to introduce yourself very quickly for all of us? We just started the live stream.
Yeah, I'm JP from Egotastic Fun Time. I'm the biggest fan of the Orville that's ever existed. And you should be too. It's not a competition, but we can all tie each other for number one.
A tie for first place.
That's right.
What about you, meteorologist Katie? What do you do for work, by the way?
Well, my first name kind of gives it away now. So I'm a broadcast meteorologist and tornado chaser out in Sioux City, Iowa, and I want to be as cool as these guys. And so I got involved with podcasting with PJ, and I do a segment called Women Power Wednesday. We do a podcast on Wednesdays, and it's just awesome to be here.
Awesome. Speaking of which, how are you, PJ?
It's an honor to be here, Ryan, and with this beautiful panel and this very talented panel. Wow, I'm excited. My name is PJ, and I host Orville Nation, and just proud to be part of this community. And thank you all for joining us.
Awesome. Now, last but not least, of course, my other half at Star Trek conventions. If you ever see me at a Star Trek convention, you're probably going to see Peter Carrubba.
Hey guys, thank you. It's a pleasure. Ryan asked me to do this. So, but yeah, I'm a big Orville fan. I just, like I told the other guys, I finished watching the last two seasons last night, and big fan of it. And I know everybody mostly on the panel. I've seen them many times at the conventions. I've been going to conventions since 1993, so before Katie was born.
Yeah.
Or I was born too.
So, but looking forward to today's events, and been paying attention and keeping up with some of the virtual con, and I'm a big Seventh Rule fan. So, yes, I do keep up with you guys. You're like part of my morning routine when I'm getting ready for work. I always have you on and catch you from the day before.
Sorry about that. Do you have you got a million Star Trek ships behind you and above you? Do you have any Orville ships?
I ordered the ship and the shuttle just 2 days ago. They're from Eagle Moss. They should be coming here by the end of next month. And they're small. They're maybe about 4 inches. They're not that big. but yeah, as soon as something bigger comes along, of course, I'll go ahead and get it because I have the Galaxy Quest one up here too. So
No way.
yeah,
I want your ceiling. Cool.
So yeah, that's how I'm keeping myself busy during COVID, is working out and just building models and trying to keep sane until my community's bars open again and I can go out and have fun.
JP showing us some Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, I got my Galaxy Quest patch right here. It just so happens. We didn't plan this.
Awesome.
What'd you guys think
Galaxy
of Galaxy Quest, by the way?
Oh, so
Love
good.
it. Love
Oh
it.
yeah, absolutely. It was a tribute to geeky sci-fi fandom. It didn't make fun of us. It lifted us up and let us be part of the adventure. And also, it was just amazing. The writing, the cast. It's currently now available on Amazon Prime. FYI, just became available. So everybody get out there and watch it. It's the best thing to bring Trekdom and comedy together into this wonderful new thing.
And to me, it was one of the things I think inspired what the Orville is now. Like, off the heels of Star Trek and Galaxy Quest, you marry both of those together and you get the Orville.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's perfectly in the middle.
Exactly.
I kind of wanted to ask that because a lot of people talk about that in the Orville groups. And I have the benefit of running the biggest Orville group in the world on Facebook. So I get to see all the cool nerdy talk and stuff and participate in all that. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys, would you say the Orville is more like Galaxy Quest, or more like, say, Family Guy in space, or more like Star Trek Next Generation with comedy?
It's a lot more like Star Trek Next Generation with a little bit of comedy, because it's a hilarious show, but really it's all about the adventures that these characters are going on, who they are, their hopes, their dreams, what they're going through. And though Seth MacFarlane, he did not want the show to be a comedy at all. He wanted it to be a hardcore sci-fi drama, but he knew Fox was not going to greenlight the show unless he started it off with as a comedy, which is why when it first came out, everyone thought it was going to be Family Guy in space, and it turned out to be different than that. It had some heart to it, and his whole goal was to get the show that he wanted, despite what Fox wanted. He's like, I'm just going to stick it out. I'm going to get this show to do some hardcore issues, social issues, character, personal stories. It got there pretty quickly. I think after episode 8, there was a shift in the episode Into the Fold, where Claire and Isaac and the kids get stuck on a planet, and she had to fight her way back to her children, and do some hardcore stuff to do that. That was the big tonal shift, and ever since then it's gone more and more dramatic. But the jokes are still there, but they're very organic as opposed to the way it used to be when the show first started.
Nice.
You know what?
Exactly. It's like Star Trek, but relatable.
I actually
Very relatable.
It was going to be around episode 3 when the Mocklins and their way of life and everything. So to me, Seth went kind of the way Roddenberry went, where he was able to tell stories without putting it on the surface, where it had to make you think as you're watching it. At the same time, I love the fact how he crept up, and the writing is amazing. For the series itself, the writing is amazing because it gives you that little vibe of Next Generation, but it's doing its own thing. Mm-hmm. And also it gives a nod to Next Generation and a lot of the other Star Trek shows, because a lot of the Star Trek alum have made appearances on the series in one form or another.
Yeah, I agree. I think visually it's very Next Generation, but story-wise, there is a lot of Enterprise crossover in there. I see a lot of storylines, and of course Seth, played Ensign Rivers in a couple episodes of Enterprise. Brandon Braga is executive producer and writer on the Orville. David A. Goodman wrote a ton of episodes of Enterprise and was a producer as well. And it goes on and on and on. There's a lot of crossover in not only people that were in front of the camera, but behind the camera. A lot of those Enterprise crew, people that work behind the camera, are now working on the Orville. And you'll see a lot of storylines and themes in Enterprise that I'll see creep up in episodes of the Orville. Just little moments. I'm like, oh, that happened on Enterprise, and so I can see a lot of influence.
Definitely
with the
What
story.
do you think, Melissa? More Next Generation, Family Guy, or Galaxy Quest?
I don't think it's like the Family Guy. Kind of. I think it's a bit of both Galaxy Quest and TNG. I mean, you get aesthetically, you get all of the clean lines and what have you from TNG, but I also think that there's another element that's outside of Galaxy Quest and TNG. It's a good show that stands on its own, and it took me a minute to get into it because of the comedy aspect of it. Some of the jokes, I'm just not a fan of jizz jokes and stuff. It does nothing for me. But when it starts getting into actual storytelling is when it starts getting good.
Agreed. By the way, somebody likes what you have to say. That's Homer Frizzell, a friend of ours. Great guy.
Hey, Homer.
Katie, what about you? What do you think?
Oh, see, I think it's just the perfect mix. You have the serious stories, especially in season 2. Like, they got pretty intense. Not to put down anything that happened in season 1, because dang, but like, it's just the comedy that's infused in it. Now that it's more just natural and organic, like you said, it just makes the show so much more relatable. Like, you watch Star Trek and that's something you aspire to be. You watch Galaxy Quest and you're like, okay, 1990s. But this is like, you could feasibly get to this in a relatively short period of time. And it makes it so much more enjoyable. Like, you could see yourself as an Orville member. It just, it's totally,
yeah. I know I would never get by on a Star Trek ship. And Star Trek is my love and joy, but nobody would want to hang out with me. I mean, Picard would hate me. I love him so much; it would hurt my feelings.
Get off my bridge!
Yeah.
Get off my
He'd
bridge!
be like,
yeah, you tell me to shut up way before you tell Wesley to shut up.
you'd totally be fanboying like outside of his office, like, should I go in? Or just say hi.
He's got
like, Picard told me that.
Yeah, Star Trek's a little bit too uptight. For me, I think Orville is it's average guys doing a job, and they would tell the same jokes because I was in the Navy for 8 years, and on the bridge you will tell the same jokes, and the captain would be like, "Tell that lookout to stop fucking around." Excuse me, whatever he's doing, and things flow naturally, almost, seamlessly, and I think that's just the way. If we were actually out there, that's how anybody would react or behave. They'd try to be more loosened up about it. They wouldn't be uptight on the bridge and be all quiet like they're attending a funeral and waiting for an alien to attack them. I mean, they're entertaining each other while they're sitting down doing their jobs.
Yeah. PJ, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just want to say I got to Photoshop Peter's ceiling into my ceiling, but
There's way more than just that too.
But regards to this, I think it's really cool that there's and it was done intentionally, that there's a lot of off duty time on the Orville that we see. And shut up, Jake.
That's not Rico.
And I just love there's a lot of off-duty time on the Orville, and I think it's more relatable because we see other aspects of their lives, and I do think it's very TNG. We have Deanna Troi as part of the crew on the Orville now. She's a teacher on the Orville.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and that's a discussion that kind of keeps going, but I think people focus a little too much on the humor, and when they first announced the show, I mean, me personally, I hoped that it wouldn't be too silly or too much of a parody, and it absolutely wasn't, especially after the first episode. The first episode, the first thought was, it's a little too jokey, it's a little too silly, but they have something here. And already by the second episode, they'd already corrected that, and they focused more on the story and more on the characters. And it's a great cast of characters. They're great actors, and we like the characters immediately, and we recognize the colors and the ships and the aesthetics as 90s Trek, you know. I don't know. It does. It just feels like that it's the next generation with regular people, kind of like what Peter was saying. It's just there's a little bit of humor put in, but it's totally the next generation. It's totally 90s Trek. And I think that's what people, you know, really love about it. So what do you guys hate about Discovery? No, I'm just kidding. Don't say it.
You're just going to see the comment section explode.
I'm just kidding. I just know that the Orville group is notorious for not liking. I mean, but most of us like everything, and we're fine with kind of like Star Trek and Star Wars. I think it's fine to like everything, but you guys got real quiet as soon as I said that. Like, you really want to know?
I think actually Disco helped Orville succeed, because you saw a lot of Star Trek people who were like, this isn't my cup of tea. Let me dip my toe into this other pond that's kind of like Star Trek. And if it had come out, say, a few years before, I don't know if we would have the fan base that we have right now. Because some people use it as an excuse, like, well, it's better than Disco. And then some people were like, well, I'll check it out. And it brought other people in. And I mean, I love them all. So, but I think that definitely helped out the first season.
Watch both, because you get something different from both. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Different franchises.
Can we go ahead and just get to the most obvious question, at least what I always think is the most obvious question? Can we just talk about who we think is our favorite character? Like, you know, there are no wrong answers. You can say somebody from one episode. If you can, what's Rob Lowe's character, the Retepsian? What's his name? Derulio, right?
Derulio.
Yes. The pheromones.
I don't know.
Who's your favorite child? That's what you're asking. Who's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
Nah. We'll start with Peter. Peter, you have a favorite character?
I like Kelly, actually. I think she's good second officer, and I think the dynamic between her and Seth MacFarlane being divorced works out. I think she's got some great one-liners, especially when she says like day drinking, and they're all like, "Oh, day drinking." And,
like what you're doing. I saw you got a glass of white wine with you.
Right, and you know, she's all up for like, let's go and, you know, have a drink after work and stuff like that. So she seems fun, and yeah, I think I like her. She's a good character.
What about you, PJ?
I think I'm between Gordon and Ed. I really like both of them, and I think I love Gordon's versatility. I think he is an anchor. He's got comedy. He's got a strength when they need when something needs to be criticized in the writing. They use Gordon sometimes. I really like Gordon.
Got it. JP?
This is an impossible question. I love them all for all different reasons, even walk-ons. But I relate personally, on a personal level, I relate to Kelly the most. You know, the way she deals with things, her personal stories, you know what she's going through as a person on a personal level through my life. I relate to her the most.
Got it. Eric Moran?
For me, it's a cross between, well, like JP, all the characters hold a special place, but the ones I identify most with, and I really, like Ed, for example, because of the fact that he went through so many changes within the first episode, and to see where he's at, you know, his confidence level as a captain, how he dealt with certain situations and still have a sense of humor. And when he has to be serious, he has to be serious. He's a good leader. He was somebody I would follow. And Bortus, because of the fact that he's another character, you know, one, because he's a big guy like me, and two, the fact that there was an episode where he finally confronts his other half, and he's telling him how his mindset is and how he needs to get with the program and stuff. Where in the beginning of the first season, he was just strictly no, no, you will be silent and everything. He's gotten a little bit more comfortable with the crew, and he's getting a better understanding of the human condition. But I like this because his characters become more developed. Like, I love all the other characters, but his character especially is just more a developed character. And look who just joined us.
Joe Colton. How you doing, Joe?
Hi, how are you guys?
Awesome. So we are talking about our favorite characters on the Orville. So we'll come around to you in just a second. It's good to see you, Joe. You're calling in from where?
Just outside of Washington, D.C.
Got it. Okay. Melissa Longo, favorite character?
So, yeah, it's tough. I have 4 that are on par with each other. Dr. Flynn, Isaac, Lieutenant Alara, and Bortus. For many reasons, but they're all equally my favorites.
Nice.
Yeah.
Meteorologist Katie.
I think it's the meteorologist part that drives me towards Doc Finn. The science part and the total badassery of her, they resonate with me. And I also like Ed too, because I've found more and more as I go on in my only 23 years of experience, I'm using humor a lot more just in like situations, and I'm starting to really be like, oh, I'm doing the Ed thing.
By the way, everybody, Katie designed this thing behind me.
Oh.
Our little graphic that we use for all the Orville promotion.
Nice.
We're like, okay, we got to have that picture of Isaac in our promo banner. That's the perfect thing.
Oh.
Never mind that he cut off Gordon's leg at the knee, but when they had the fake leg, it was all the way up to his hip. But whatever. It was still funny. Joe, it's really good to see you. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and then tell us about your favorite character?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I know I'm late. I'm sorry for being late.
Not at all. It's because we're only going to have 6 people, but then StreamYard just let us know suddenly that they can now do up to 10 people.
Oh,
so we're like, cool. Let's have a couple more then.
Yeah. I'm a cosplayer, and I also do commissions on different costumes. I have worked on Bob O'Reilly's pants that he wears at the conventions, on the convention circuit. So I gave him a zipper so he could go to the bathroom. It's very important. And then I'm also starring in the Orville fan series of Planetary Step.
Beautiful. I want to talk about that, but first I want to say what my favorite character is, and this guy called it. This lady.
Lieutenant
Elihu, am I saying that name?
Elihu.
You know?
Elihu.
I don't know who that is, but that's the one. That's for me.
Yeah, everybody wants more Lieutenant Dan. He's a fan favorite. I did a whole Lieutenant Dan parody song. Lieutenant Dan guy, based on Billie Eilish's Bad Guy.
Okay. Can you sing it for us right now?
Oh God, it's been months. You can check it out on my YouTube somewhere. Lieutenant Dan guy.
So Eric and Joe, do you want to tell us a little bit about your fan series, Orville fan series?
So
wait, before you do, Eric, I was going to tell you what my favorite Orville actor is. I have 3. I'm like Melissa. I've got several. Kelly, Isaac, and Bortus. Just the prosthetics is just I love that. Sorry, Eric.
That's all right. Well, basically, a year and a half ago, I had decided I wanted to possibly do something with the Orville because I had did a cosplay of in my Orville uniform. Seth MacFarlane saw it. He posted it and retweeted it on his Twitter page, and the reaction that everyone gave him was like, dude, you need to have this dude on your series. He needs to be security. And it made me start thinking, and I said, you know what? No one has put out, I've done fan films, I've done Star Trek fan films, I've done Doctor Who fan films, Judge Dredd, all this stuff. So I was sitting back and I said, hey, maybe no one has done an Orville fan film, at least none that I knew about. And so I started coming up with concept and ideas. And so around the time, I remember running over to watching Eagle-tastic Fun Time. I was an avid fan because Eagle-tastic Fun Time promoted nothing but positivity within the fan community, both in
like that
and everything else. And I got hooked on the show, and I reached out to JP and I said, JP, you know, how would you feel about if you made a cameo, or would you like to make an appearance in my Orville fan film? So JP was like, hey, let me know, I'm down. And so during the course, I'm writing out a script, I'm working on a script. I go to Joe and ask her, and I said, well, how would you feel about being in the film? She was like, yeah, I'm totally down. So it started progressing, started coming together. Reached out to my friend Chris Cross, who's comic book artist from Marvel DC, asked him to do the poster and stuff. And so when I decided how I wanted, the name of my ship, and I thought about it, and because when for Aaron, because of the fact that everyone was trying to push for Aaron to be Captain Nog, and I was like, you know what, I want to take it one step further. And I asked a friend, I said, what do you think if I name the ship after Aaron and call it the USS Eisenberg? And they were like, oh my God, dude, that would be a nice tribute for Aaron. So I decided to name the ship after Aaron and call it the USS Eisenberg.
What's on your hat? Show them your hat.
Yeah, it's right here. And I think when everyone sees the series and the intro, I think people are going to be blown away. So basically, from that point on, and we put out the series, JP being my tech advisor, not only playing in as one of the cast members, but he's also my tech advisor to make sure we follow along the lines, the guidelines of what the Orville is about. The next thing you know, it becomes a hit. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And people wanted more. So I decided to sit down and talk to JP and a couple other friends of mine. The next thing you know, we're doing a full season, 8 episodes. As I'm making an announcement now, we're doing 8 episodes. We have a whole big story arc, and we have an FX designer, music composer. We have a full cast. We're going to be making a cast announcement of the first time the full cast is announced. And so basically everything has been moving along great. I have a series called A Planetary Diary, which is showing the steps on the making of a planetary step. And so we have different people that come on, from cast members to production staff members, even people that might have starred on a typical show, a little show called The Orville, that have made appearances and stuff like that. And basically to show how much of a fan community comes together. Then I found out a good friend of mine, Vance Major Owens, he did actually the very first Orville fan film called The Marianer's Trench, which was a very small short. I reached out to Vance because Vance and I were good friends, and I just didn't realize that he did an Orville fan film. And I asked him to be one of the cast members on the series, so he'll be making an appearance as well and stuff. So it's really exciting. We get the film next Saturday, so I'm really excited.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of people are going to be really surprised what we came up with.
Where are you guys shooting this?
What's that?
Where are you shooting?
Mostly everything is being shot here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So with the exception of one cast member that lives outside of Philly, pretty much everyone's close by. Joe's like a what? You're like a state or two away, Joe? Yeah.
I think I made the drive in like less than 3 hours one day, and you were yelling at me that how fast I was driving.
JP is the only other cast member that I have to eventually work on. I'll probably have him here next year. By that time, things will be lifted and all. So we got some work for JP. But in the meanwhile, we just been putting everything together, and it's been coming along nicely. So like I said again, but it all stemmed from just a love of the show, to connecting with other fans and fandoms of the Orville, with JP, and then also with Orville Nation with PJ, because they've been strong supporters of what we've been doing with Katie and everything. So it's like a family thing that it started off something small with an idea and expanded on that. And mind you, this is all about a positive experience with no negativity, and no one is trolling anyone. Everyone is getting along because it's something nice and fresh. And again, that comes right off the heels of Egotastic Fun Time and Orville Nation, because again, they promote a lot of positivity, which made me inspired me to want to do this in the first place.
Wow. Hey, bad news, guys. Katie has an infectious smile. So
She does.
Malissa and I were already talking about sore cheeks yesterday, so we got to be careful here.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you, Katie and PJ, about Orville Nation. You want to tell everybody about Orville Nation?
PJ, you want to go ahead?
Go ahead, Katie.
No, you go ahead. This happens a lot on the channel too.
All right, you gotta go.
You go ahead.
I do want to thank JP, because JP is being a leader in our fandom, and as far as the positivity, JP's positivity has been inspirational for me, and it's been contagious. And I also want to thank Katie and Raquel and Drew and everybody who's been a part of and George Peter Gatsis, everybody. I'm forgetting a lot of people, but everybody who's been part of that Orville Nation community, and and getting our panels going and stuff. So thank you all.
Everyone's just been so great. That's one of the things I love about this fandom is, like, with Star Trek you get divisive, with Star Wars you get divisive, with the Orville, I mean, everyone pretty much agrees we love this thing. So it's so easy to be happy and smiling because it's just a great show, and it's so much fun to talk about it. Like when I'm on with PJ, it's always like optimistic. What do you love? What do you want to see? Just very positive, never focusing on the negative. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why our fandom has grown to such an incredible group.
And if I can say one more thing, I do want to also thank Ryan for I think Gene Roddenberry would be proud that there was an Orville panel at Virtual Trek Con. Yeah. I think that his message has gone even beyond the boundaries of Star Trek.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I think Gene Roddenberry would be like, who? But I'm sure if we explain to him, he'd be like, oh, that's, keep up the good work. Great. But that's cool. That's great to hear. Now I forgot what I was going to say because I got all these images of meeting Gene Roddenberry, which never happened.
Aww.
You were going to ask me a question?
No, I don't. I already forgot what it was. But no, I just wanted to jump on the positivity, which is a really cool thing. And I do run a lot of fan groups, like for Picard, for Discovery, for Orville, Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds, all that stuff. And I can honestly say that there is the least amount of fighting in the Orville group. Now, whatever that means, it's not necessarily an indictment or, an attack on any particular group. But it is true that the Orville fans seem to just focus solely on positivity. And I think part of it, though, is that it is a lighter subject matter. It's fun. It's funny. It's happy, So maybe that's part of it. But I do appreciate, PJ, you're saying JP's kind of leading the charge for the positivity. That's awesome. That's great. So we owe it to you guys, I guess. I'm just getting the effects of what you guys are doing, but thanks for doing that.
And the Orville makes it easy. I mean, they support fandom. The crew and the creators, they support fandom way more than I see other franchises that have been around longer are currently supporting. And I'm not saying they're not supporting fandom, the other franchises. I'm just saying the Orville cast and crew are just so proactive at supporting, retweeting stuff people say. And, you make a little Orville video and they're, like, thumbs up and, retweeting and stuff like that. And they talk about the fans all the time.
Yeah. And obviously spearheading that group. Sorry, I just wanted to say, Katie, that spearheading that group, obviously, JP said, is Tom Costantino, and everybody around him is JP's absolutely right. They're just so supportive. I'm sorry, Katie.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say that they're all fans themselves, it seems like. So it's just, they're a part of the community, which totally lessens that gap between being on a show and being a part of the show. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I remember when I debuted the poster, and Tom said, hey, can I debut it on Twitter? I was like, please, by all means, and everything else. And it's great because they know it's coming from a good place. They know our fandom is coming from a good place. And that it's great because you're interacting with them. And it makes people want to tune in more. It makes people want to talk about it more. And like you said, in this day and age, we need more positive entities around us to keep us going throughout the day, to get us through the day. So it's awesome to see that,
Positive is just as infectious.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Takes
Hey,
longer.
I got some bad news, guys. You know, I don't know if you remember like that third episode where there was a doctor that delivered a baby. Well,
Rico Anderson.
yeah,
Hey,
he's joining us.
What's up, y'all?
We're also joined by, sorry guys, we're doing a full panel now. It's 10 people.
Wait, I gotta get out.
We got 10 people now. Rico and I and Aaron back in the day and Melissa would watch the Orville sometimes at our friend Andre's house. So here comes Andre, and now it's officially a party.
Woo!
I feel like I'm on.
So
This is like the
first
Brady
things
Bunch.
first, let's ask Rico, what was it like on the Orville, man? Did you know, were you excited from the very beginning, or did it kind of hit you afterwards? Like, dude, I'm on this awesome show.
It was pretty much, dude, I'm on this awesome show. Awesome show. First of all, Andre, nice hair, dude.
Pandemic cut.
I'm loving the mo. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a nerd out experience, and just to be a part of it was really cool. And the fact that I was playing a character with prosthetic makeup on was really cool. I don't know if people saw the Klingon tutorial, but I love playing those characters and being in that.
Obviously, technical difficulties.
Can you guys hear me and see me okay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I heard you. Okay. So yeah, no, it was great. It was great. You know, and also I think it was the happiness and the fun of the show was at its all-time high just because it was the third episode. So, and it was the first season. So it was like everybody was on a cloud that this new show was being filmed, and I'm sure there was a lot of Star Trek references in terms of just the overall attitude on set and stuff like that. So, I walked into a happy den early in the game. Not to say that they're not happy now, but you know when when the party's first starting, it's always really cool. So.
I still have to make you a Doc Mock shirt.
What?
Yeah, what's up with that? I would love it.
It'll happen.
I actually want to do a couple of shout outs real quick. This particular was made. It was made by a dude named Jeff Pena, and it was commissioned by Mickey Gunter, who is one of the vendors. I believe she's one of the vendors here. She does the Make It So figurines and stuff like that, and she's making masks as well. And this is me as the Mock Doc.
Nice.
Mock Doc.
So yeah. It was awesome. It's great to see everybody. I've seen you all in one incarnation or another.
So I wanted to bring Andre into this. Looks like StreamYard's got 10 people, but a couple of us are a little choppy. So
Is this Garrick
we're
again?
still working on it. Yeah, it looks like StreamYard's perfecting this. But I do want to say, Andre, this is the major question I want to ask you, and probably everybody here will have an opinion on this. When the second season of the Orville came up, and it was like around episode 7 or 8, and you'll recall that there was that 2-part episode, right? That was pretty much like, was that the best moment for science fiction of the last 2 or 3 years?
I think that was an epic moment of science fiction. We got to see like at one event that they'd been slowly building up to impact the entire world that he put together. So like he put together the show as an homage to science fiction and then as comedy, but then it takes itself seriously. So we get to see like the Kalons, like they've developed, like why are they here? That question gets answered, and then it ends with a massive space battle. I think that was one of the defining 2 episodes of the entire show for me.
Totally. What do you think, Eric Moran? Best moment of the Orville, best moment of sci-fi the last couple of years, or just kind of okay?
Without a doubt. The last time I had that kind of effect when I saw Best of Both Worlds.
Yes.
And I remember when I saw that, At that time, I couldn't reach. At that time, I didn't have JP's number. I would have called him like, ah! I remember we were freaking out. Me and my wife, we were watching, and I was like, oh, and I was like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm getting flashbacks of Next Gen, but all new again. And it was like being reborn, watching it all over again, and just a totally different branch off of a different story. But it gave us that same effect. And I just remember, I'm like, oh my God, this is what science fiction is all about. This is what true science fiction is all. And I was totally blown off. I have flashbacks thinking about it now, and I'm like, I get chills that episode. I'm like, holy crap. When they find all the bodies under the planet, I was done. And I was like, holy crap. So that without a question, that leveled me to a all new plane.
Didn't you feel terrified just seeing everything going on? And we didn't know what was going to happen to Isaac by the end of the episode. Like, I had the same fear, like you said, from Best of Both Worlds. Like, they're really in trouble.
Yeah, especially when they were showing you. They didn't show you right away. They didn't do the big reveal. And they kept showing, like, look, they showed the kids' reaction, and then they were looking. They were like, oh, my God. And you're like, what? What are you guys looking at? And when they did the big reveal, it was like, oh, crap. Like, and all I kept thinking was, how the hell are they going to get out of this? You know, so, and it made me excited to look forward to seeing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not a season finale. It's like, next week.
We don't have to wait.
I don't have to wait for 6 months. Like, Best of Both Worlds, we had to wait for a period of time. We just had to wait till next week. I'm like, oh my God. So,
Melissa, any thoughts on that two-parter?
I enjoyed it.
Good.
Buffering going on and pausing, and so I'm not getting everything. So, but I enjoyed it, and I knew Isaac would come through because I just knew that.
Contracted.
Huh?
Because he's contracted.
Oh, well, that didn't come into it, but that kid was so cute. So how could you refuse?
What about you, Peter? Did you have faith in Isaac, or were you sad and frightened?
I sad and frightened. Yeah, terrified. I just watched it 2 more times this past week, parts 1 and 2. It was very reminiscent of the Borg. So that I found that pretty the next gen kind of thing, and I love the ships and how the Kaylon, or not the Kaylon, but the Krill are more like the Klingons, and there's a lot of similarities there, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that the battles were done really well. How they got the ship back I totally forgot about that after I saw it like over a year ago. When I saw it again, I was like, oh, it's like new to me again. I enjoyed it. That's one of my parts 1 and 2 were my favorite. I'm just call it one episode kind of thing.
Rico, you're spending a lot of time on your hair right now. PJ, any thoughts on
a piece
that?
Out of place, and I was just like, this is all like, very. Froze are hard to maintain. Leave me alone.
I wish I knew what that was like.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I remember actually had hair.
You know the drill, Eric.
PJ, any thoughts on the two-parter?
Yeah, I think that I think one of the successes of the two-parter was also how they lulled us into, because of the this crazy romance between Dr. Finn and the robot. They and with such a good episode where they finally connected, and I think they lulled us into this place where obviously when they pivoted to the whole Kaylon sinister thing, I think it was just very powerful.
Best moment of the 2 seasons in the Orville?
I would say Dr. Finn and Isaac, and the romance.
Sure. What about you, JP?
Everybody grab a hat and hold on to it because I have all the thoughts on Identity Part 1 and 2. Yes, a genre-defining moment for the show, an amazing moment for the show, a huge moment for the show, but I want to give a shout-out to the Fuse FX team who put all the effects together. Brooke Noska, Brandon Fyatt. They did an amazing job. Emmy-nominated episode of the show, okay? But I do want to say, it was record-breaking as well. It was the longest sci-fi battle ever in any television show that's ever existed on television. Yeah, it was record. It broke records. It was amazing. I will say, my favorite moments of the Orville are always the personal character moments. I love the pew pews and the explosions. I got a pew pew gun right here from the Orville, and absolutely amazing. My jaw dropped the entire 7-minute scene, which was only supposed to be a 2-minute scene, but everybody had ideas, and there was a group effort. Everybody was on the storyboard saying, "No, I want this to happen. I want this to happen." And Seth MacFarlane says, "Let's do it all. Let's do all of it." And they asked Fox for a check, and Fox is like, "Okay, here's your check." But I do know for a fact, this is a fact, that season 3 is so huge that the production has said that Identity Part 2 would be considered a smaller episode if it were part of season 3. Keep the Orville going.
Doug Drexler said something similar to that a couple days ago on Virtual Trek Con. So we're all holding on to our hats. What about you, Joe Colton?
I love the episodes. I too make it one. I freaked out over the bodies, and it was very TNG and screamed. I didn't scream as loud as Eric, but I probably gasped and clutched my fake pearls and was like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a pinnacle moment in sci-fi as well as for the show. So I'm excited for season 3.
What about you, Katie?
I liked it a lot because what I always look for in a TV show is that you don't know what happens next. Like you can think, oh, they're going to do this next, and it takes it in a different direction. And I always find that really enjoyable. So that two-parter was really fun for me. Although I do have to say, I think the best moment of the Orville, in my opinion, was when 9 to 5 started playing. And that entire song length, the best moment.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, hail Dolly. Yes.
That was good.
What do you think, Rico? Did we already ask you, or we only asked you about your hair?
No, you didn't ask. Wait, hold on. Okay.
Gotta get it just right.
We good? Wait.
Almost.
All right.
Close enough.
Anyway, we can fix it in post. Look, I know I joke when I say the mock doc, but I'm really not. I am gonna say the Mocklin Doctor. Really, I want to say that episode because as much as I joke about it, it is one of the more talked about episodes in terms of the storyline and just overall what it was about and what we thought the ending would be, and how much of a side eye to this day I still get when I tell people I am the Mocklin Doctor who performed the operation. Mostly from women give me that, "Oh, you're the one who did that." So I like what I'm getting now, especially from Katie. So yeah, but it was such a cool episode, and I love the fact that they revisited it later on and really called the Mocklin men out on their ish. So that was cool. I really also liked the thank you, Mark. I really liked still way out of place. I really like the episode with Gordon. I know you guys spoke on it earlier. The one where he's when they find the cell phone.
Laughing impression.
That might be.
The holodeck.
That was such a well written, done, executed episode, and it was so cool to see it, and I really loved it. I mean, it obviously takes you back in the days of like the holodeck and just that whole. It was like a holodeck episode in a sense, and it was just a really cool change of pace from the pew pew and the space battles and all the things. And if I can add an honorable mention, the whole situation with Bortus and smoking, which I thought was just hilarious.
That's the funny. Was that the funniest moment in both seasons of the Orville, or what?
Yeah, it was just.
I did scream when they come up on the bridge and you see the back of his head and he's smoking a cigarette. And I did scream out loud. I was watching by myself and I went, ah!
No, I had that reaction, but to the Mocklin orgy, because I was in the Phoenix airport watching it, and it came up on the screen. I'm like, crap.
And all I kept thinking was, how's Jay Lee keeping a straight face when you have my man coming over to her, looking at the back of his head? And I'm like, man, I couldn't keep a straight face.
Where's mustache needs to come back. I hope the mustache comes back.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The Magnum PI.
He needs that mustache.
Oh.
Yeah, that was definitely the funniest. At least one of the funniest, but probably the funniest moment. But we've only got a few minutes left, so let's get serious here. For season 3, after watching the first 2 seasons, what would you like to see improved upon? What would you like to see more of, or less of, or something that you like that you just hope that they highlight more? We're going to start with Eric Moran, because you seem to be really upset about this question.
Well, no, not so much upset, but as far as thinking about it, because to me, the show so far has been flawless. I don't really see too many problems. What I would like to see is more episodes. That's the first thing I would like to see. And also them to be able to touch more on what's going on Earth. Basically a little bit more of like there's basically, again, it's a flawless show in the sense that because there's so much more to explain, there's so much more to show that's coming up. So I'm just kind of sitting back as a person who's viewing it, and all I want is, like I said earlier, more episodes. If anything I would want to have on it, I don't see really too many problems because it's been coming into its own. It's coming into its own. And I've been very happy with it. So, hey, that's the most I would want out of it.
What about you, Malissa? I know you've been a very harsh critic of it. You want to go ahead and voice those publicly?
I don't know.
Definitely read in the chat room. So.
Well, yeah, so I'm the one who's going to start the drama. Okay. Right after this podcast. I'm interested in seeing where they take the 3rd episode. I want to see more of the Krill woman that had a relationship with Ed. And see how that works into it, because it's fascinating to see inter-species relationships and how they develop, and how kind of like with Finn and Isaac, and I don't know what else I want to see. I just like to see the growth of the characters and where they're going. And I love Pew Pew, but that's not why I watch things. So yeah, story. I like story. I like character development. I like relationship. And I'd like to see all of those things in season 3.
And more Jason Alexander at the bar, of course. What about you, Peter? What do you want to see more of or less of?
Well, I like the clever way how Seth MacFarlane seems to write current events into his storyline. Like you have the dynamic between the Krill and I guess what do they call it? The Federation, whatever they call themselves.
Planetary Union.
The Union. Hey, thank you. I want to know how that dynamic will work out, because there's such a theocracy and sort of a little bit on the zealot side. So I want to see how that works out. But otherwise, the storylines are amazing. I never leave an episode wondering why or what the hell happened. But yeah, great writing, and I just want to see more of how they're going to work that relationship between the two.
Now, hang on a second, PJ. Are you where are you? I'm seeing you in the comments, and I'm seeing you. Look at where are you? Multitasking.
You have to interact.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, what do you think? What do you want to see more of?
Well, Ryan, forgive me for answering in this fashion, but I feel it's necessary. Getting season 3 and season 4 of the Orville in many ways means for our society to control COVID. And we had an upcoming guest that was going to be. He was a friend of Walt Disney's, and he was going to be on our show in a few weeks, and he just passed away. And somebody who went before his time. Obviously, he was older, but he still should not have passed away when he did. I just wanted to remind everyone that other parts of the world, I'm here in Europe right now. COVID is under control in many parts of the world, and I really think that whatever conspiracy theory that people subscribe to, and I know a lot of people subscribe to many, it doesn't really matter right now. The only thing that matters is distancing, hand hygiene, and masks. And I think that all that together has been proven to work in other parts of the world. And there's no COVID here, really. There's just little outbreaks, and they're under control. And there's tourism, and everything's up and running again. And so I really feel like the Orville production staff is really has their hands tied right now with the situation. I think we all need to pray that this all gets worked out for not just for Orville, but for all of us. So I'm sorry for answering that way.
No, that's a great point, and that's also part of the reason why. Well, the complete reason why we did this is a 6-day event to hopefully encourage people to stay home and watch this. I mean, 6 days of not going out and doing stuff too crazy, might make a little difference. But yeah, thanks for saying that. That's great. JP, that's a tough act to follow.
No, it's not. It's a wonderful act to follow. We love PJ, and I want to pick up a little bit where PJ left off. The sooner we wear masks, the sooner the Orville can get back to production. They got half the episodes filmed. Really? I think mostly edited. I think they've run out of stuff to edit at this point, and they still have half of the season to film. We're a few months behind. They were slated to end filming last month, and of course, so they had to end filming in March, and they're just waiting to go back. But one thing I will say, I talked to Jay Lee a couple of weeks ago. We were talking, and he said that if he knows Seth, and he does know Seth very well, he's pretty sure Seth, during lockdown, has been using that time to write more Orville. Update to the rest of the scenes that they gotta film. That'll probably mirror a little bit of what's going on in our own society, as well as hopefully some season 4 stuff. At least hopefully a nice juicy outline. But when it comes to season 3, what I would like to see, there's no reason for me to even think about it, because whatever I come up with that I'd like to see, the Orville has earned everybody's trust to know that they know what we want more than we know what we want. And already a lot of things I do want, I already know they're going to be doing in season 3. They're gonna do some deep dives into the characters that we've been wanting to learn more about, some of the aliens, the worlds they come from. What's going on in their lives. Hopefully we get a lot more Dan. And yes. And I know that the Krill and the Kalon and the Mocklin are still going to be a big deal, especially with the Krill. We have a treaty that we're trying not to explode with our differences in our 2 different worlds, so we can fight the Kalon. So I do know that there's going to be a big focus on the Krill and what Krill life is really like.
What about you, Joe?
Sorry.
But
no,
please,
when you said Seth's been spending his time probably writing and stuff, I just want to know if he has a fanfiction.com account and if he betas the stories online, because I'll bet you could get some good feedback.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Praise Davis, that happens.
No, but Katie, if you've got an answer, let us know.
I don't want to skip over Joe.
Please do. That's okay. We'll go back to Joe.
Oh, well, no, I want to see personally more of Ty and Marcus, because it's hard to have kids on a TV show, and the actors who portray them, not only like the characters, but the actors themselves are so good. And I feel like they're doing it right. And with Star Trek, it's been going in some spots. Some people love it, some people hate them. And this with Star Trek, or with the Orville, I think that the characters themselves, they've set them up to be just wealths of wonderfulness. Like, it's going to be incredible to see their story, like their brothers growing up. They have a single mom. Like, a lot of people can relate to that.
Hashtag Finn family.
Exactly. And I want to see a lot more of that. And just, season 7, 8, 9. You'll see.
Totally.
Yeah, real quick, Joe. I do want to, going off what you said.
Everybody's mad at you, Joe.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, Joe. Shut up, Joe. Shout out to Tanner and Kai Winter for playing the Finn kids. They are doing a great job, and we need to get more of them before they grow up. And Kai's, we don't want them to have mustaches.
Mom, I don't want to go. Mom, why?
All right, what about you, Rico? Just kidding, Joe. Go ahead.
I wanted more Rico.
Yes, there it is. There it is.
So Rico or Joe? What are we talking about?
Joe.
Oh.
I
You're
was gonna
serious.
say Rico, but we could go with me. I would say more aliens and more character development, more deep dives. Just anything with more prosthetics. I'm all about like the prosthetics and the effects. So I am determined to get somebody on this panel into a Klingon costume, as I mentioned yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Rico was just in a Klingon costume in our video earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say. who's talking about?
A young lady.
Get Katie.
No. I can do it. I can do Katie. Yeah, we can.
Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa wants to be a Cardassian
Oh.
or a Krill.
Klingon.
Rico, what do you think? We only got a minute left. More or less of something? Anything you're looking for?
They kind of touched into like a mirror-ish type universe, and I would love to see more of that, and see where those what if situations could be explored as well, and just deep diving more into the characters. I love it. I want to see more of that, and bless you, whoever sneezed, and just continue on and just giving us what we need,
We need a deep dive. Yeah, we need a deep dive into the mock doc in season 3.
Yeah.
I want to see more technical nerdy stuff. Like, I'm literally that guy that will, if they say on screen the ship goes 10 light years per hour, I will literally calculate it out and figure out how fast it is versus the Enterprise. Like, I love technical details. I want to see more. I want to see more of the in-universe details he's put together, because he's built an elaborate universe, and that makes it fun to jump into. So hopefully get to see more of that.
Awesome. I want to see more aliens, just more expansion of the alien characters and like the lore. That's kind of what makes Star Trek so cool, is knowing all about the Ferengi and all about the Klingons and all about the Cardassians. I want to know more. We got the Mocklins. But we want to know more about the other guys too.
The horrible.
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us. So far, StreamYard has told us we can do up to 10 people. I'm not sure I'd recommend it yet. It looks like they're still ironing out the kinks, but it was really awesome having all 10 of you, or 9 of you plus me. It was really cool. Really appreciate it. Hope to see all of you again in some capacity or another online until we see each other in person at conventions again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome. Right? Yeah. Are we leaving now or what?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Thanks for having us. There you go.
Got it, man.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. And everybody at home, check out the next video. We'll see you then. It's going to be a fun one. And
Cool.
that's it. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Long and prosper.